8th. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. I'd like a motion to approve the agenda, but with that, just initially, I'd like to remove items 4 and 6 of our consent agenda down to regular business. So if I can get that motion, that would be great.
I offer that motion with those changes.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right. Can you go ahead and call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. And then on the consent agenda, are there any other items other than 4 and 6 that anybody would like removed? And I'd take public comment on that right now. Okay, if there are no other items to be removed from consent, then can I get a motion to approve?
So
our
moved, Madam
consent?
Chair.
Second.
Thank you. I've got a motion from Schmidt, second from Aaron's. Will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Motion carries. We'll move on to our regular business, and those other consent agendas, we'll put those at the end of our regular business for the day. So we'll move on to item 1 on our regular business, closing conference with legislative audit.
Good morning.
Good morning.
David Weidler, Department of Legislative Audit. I'm here today to conduct the closing conference for the 2022 audit. I believe Sherry has provided you with the 3 documents that I have brought with me today. The one that I would like to start off first is the letter of representation. That's the one with the Lincoln County letterhead on it.
Can those go on the screen?
I think they made it in the packet.
Yeah, I'm not seeing them either. Yeah, we don't have those.
Okay.
Well, this is awkward.
We could skip over you if you want to get us either get paper copies and then maybe a paper copy that we can put up on the,
If that's
Screen.
okay with me, so.
okay, all right, yep, we'll just skip over you for now. All right, then with that, we're gonna move on to our second reading and public hearing for an ordinance of Lincoln County, South Dakota, rezoning lots 1 and 2, Lake Alvin subdivision, southeast quarter, section 33, township 100 north, range 49 west, from the RC Recreation Conservation District and the Rural Residential District to the PD Plan Development District, and amending the official zoning map of Lincoln County. The Planning Commission recommendation for approval failed 026. So this is the time and date set for the public hearing. Now that the agenda item has been presented, I'm going to ask, Toby, do you have comments that you would like to make?
I'll just go
Okay,
through.
go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as just mentioned, this is an application to rezone 2 parcels of approximately 6.2 acres from the RC Recreation District and the Rural Residential District to the PD Plan Development District. Subject properties are approximately 2.85 miles east of the city of Harrisburg. They are within the city of Harrisburg's growth area and within the city of Harrisburg's subdivision plating authority. The Lincoln County Comprehensive Plan identifies these properties as future agricultural area. The city of Harrisburg's comprehensive plan currently identifies these properties as future low-density, single-family residential. The subject parcels, as I mentioned, there are 2 of them. The 1.2 acre parcel, which would be to the southwest, that is zoned RC Recreation Conservational District, and the larger 5 acre piece is zoned RR Rural Residential. Subject properties, the smaller piece is what I'll say is undeveloped, does not have any structures on it. The larger 5 acre piece does have an agricultural structure, buildings on it currently. Applicant did submit a concept plan with the application, identified wants to construct an events facility or venue to the north on the property. And then as well as on what I'll call the smaller piece would be a shop/office type building. As part of this, there is a pending plat with the city of Harrisburg to combine both of these parcels into one parcel. So the applicant and staff have been working together on essentially proposal for this property. The proposal would be a planned development district, which, as you're aware, is not a conventional zoning district. It is a new zoning district. So with that, the applicant did submit to staff different uses that would be allowed within the planned development district, primarily the events facility, and then along with that would be alcoholic beverage sales within that facility. Hotel or motel, which according to the applicant will be primarily within the events facility. And then as previously mentioned, the shop/office staff quarters. And then the applicant did also request to add an RV park, essentially for different types of events to allow camping in conjunction with the events. And then continuing the use of agriculture within that district. Staff did then develop some additional regulations or conditions for the rezone. Went back and forth with the applicant on those regulations, did come up with 8 regulations to sort of mitigate some of the concerns that would occur with those proposed uses. So as mentioned, the Planning Commission did conduct a public hearing. There was a number of neighbors that did have some concerns, primarily with the events facility type operation. And so ultimately, the Planning Commission's affirmative motion was not approved at 0-6. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have for staff at this time. Otherwise, I'll turn it back to the chair.
Toby, do you have a parcel number for that? I always try to look these up on Parcel Browser.
Yep, so the one parcel will be 100-49-33 D100.
Thank you.
Yep.
Toby, approximately how many acres is this?
6.2.
Toby, what was the city of Harrisburg's recommendation?
They did not give me a recommendation, but they did work with the applicant as far as some access and as far as the plating and that. But no recommendation from the city of Harrisburg, other than their comprehensive plan identifies this as low-density residential.
Toby, on page 1, it talks about compatibility with the comprehensive plan. To Commissioner Schmidt's question, is the application compatible with Harrisburg's
Yeah.
comprehensive plan?
Good question. No, it would not be compatible. Yes.
Commissioner Aaron's, I was reading that premature subdivision of land unnecessarily puts people at risk. I'm reading with some of the things that city of Harrisburg has, and that's why I asked that question, so.
Anybody else have questions for staff?
Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Next, I'm going to ask the applicant for testimony, and the applicant will be limited to 10 minutes total time for this hearing. So if the applicant wants to come up, now would be the time to do so.
Joel, excuse me, Joel McDowell Core Companies. At this point in time, I'll just open it up to the commissioners. What questions, if any, would you have for me?
Sir, I can't hear you. Will you please, I'm sure everybody in the audience can't hear you either, so.
Okay, at this point in time, I guess I would just open it up to the commissioners. What questions, if any, do you have for me?
Commissioners have any questions?
Joel,
Go ahead, yep.
sorry. Joel, have you done any traffic analysis on how much flow will be in and out of the property at any time?
No.
Nothing yet.
Other questions?
Toby put forth quite a few different things, so what's your game plan as far as how you're gonna develop it? What do you start with? What's your ultimate goal? You mentioned RV park, you mentioned, I heard liquor sales. Kind of give me a rundown on, if you got a blank check, well, how are you gonna start this thing, and do you have a timeline for development?
Well, the work's already started. I've worked with JSA as far as the grading plan. Obviously want to be a good steward to the land, filtration before any runoff goes into a state park lake. That work has all been done. So the next point, if approved, would be in the spring to do the site work, the dirt, soil stabilization, and then ultimately construction of the venue itself, which is the farthest north piece, which would contain, it would all be self-contained from an event center, and the lodging that would be built into that center. And then as you move north, the next two pads that you can see, that's parking, which would have to meet the city standards, which it would. And then the piece closest to the highway would be the shop area. It was my vision to offer some staff quarters. I would like to bring in people for seasonal help, people that are specifically looking to, career in the hospitality. Could be a permanent groundskeeper, that type of thing. And so construction-wise, the whole thing would start in the spring and go until it's done. You don't make money until you have your first event, and that's what it's designed for. Under the PD zoning, it would be strictly a event venue. The reason I had requested to be able to have some optional RV parking, which would be on the backside of each of the parking areas, is we're from South Dakota. People have campers and RVs, and it'd be somewhat unique as a venue because we'd offer lodging for the wedding parties to come in and stay before and after the wedding. And that would just open up the opportunity for somebody to bring in a travel trailer or an RV. During the week, the intent would be, is to do corporate offsite events. And again, that would be maximized to the number of rooms, and then any day guests that would operate within the hours between 8 and 11.
Have you had any conversations with your neighbors?
Initial conversation with the neighbor to the east. Originally, we were looking at where you see those 4 pad sites there was for rural residential. So I had a conversation there, but after that, no conversation.
Madam Chair.
Yep, go ahead.
Good morning again, Joel. Break us down a little bit. Have you spoken electrical, water, fire suppression systems? How will all of that be working on your facility as well as the septic?
All to code. I did speak with Toby. One of the things that we discussed was the ability for Lincoln County Rural Water to provide enough water for the facility, and it's known that we would have to have our own on-site water storage with adequate pump to pressurize everything needed on the property.
And then would you propose a fire suppression system in the building by code as?
Yeah, everything to code.
And then there's plenty of electricity, but you're serviced by Southeastern Electric there, who
Yeah.
services that area?
Yeah, that part's not an issue.
Not an issue there. And septic, how would the septic, describe how the septic?
Couple of options. I did one up at Lake Madison several years ago where we kind of did our own self-contained system, kind of. There's options out there for your own wastewater treatment facility. And so bottom line is whatever it would take. I won't short anything because I'm smart enough to know that all you need to do is have one bad event. And if it involves septic, it will be, it'll be well known.
But you theorize that it'll probably is some type of a treatment facility on site.
On site, yep, which are becoming more and more prevalent, readily available, and absolutely no opposition to doing that.
Other questions?
What engineering firm's doing all your work, or firms?
JSA.
No further questions.
All right. No other questions? All right, thank you. You can have a chair.
Thank you.
And then I'm going to first ask any proponents for testimony, and the total proponent testimony time will be limited to a half hour. So we'll set the timer for a half hour. And whoever wants to come up, now would be the time to do so. Those are for proponents. All right, seeing nobody, then we're going to move on to opponents. Again, same thing. Opponent's testimony will be limited to 30 minutes total time. So if you have a spokesperson, that might be the best use of your time, but otherwise come on up. But keep in mind, there's probably people behind you that want to speak. Don't be shy.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Johnson, 47890 Prairie Circle in Harrisburg. I'm 800 yards to the south of this proposed event center. Can I ask, did everybody get an opportunity to watch the planning and zoning meeting? I know one of you was there. I know at least one of you watched it. Did you guys get a chance to watch it? I'm just trying to save you guys some time if you did.
No,
I have not seen it.
I'm not seeing it.
Okay, so then I will read some letters. The first one is from Lou, Gina, and Joyce George. Dear esteemed members of the Planning Commission, we are writing to express our strong opposition to, I'll save you the details of the subdivision. We reside at 47891 Prairie Circle, and we, as well as other various residents in our neighborhood, are completely and vehemently opposed to the addition of some sort of event center, complete with liquor license and parking lots. This rezoning would absolutely cause incessant traffic buildup, notable safety problems, unwanted noise concerns, disruption of the local wildlife habitat, and would lower the property values of the existing community. We feel very confident in stating that the vast majority of our hardworking residents of this area live on or bought acreages away from town for a specific and definite common reason. We all very much appreciate our privacy, security, and serenity, which again is a major factor of why we purchase built homes outside of a busy town. Commercial property, particularly of this nature with its unbridled noise, traffic at all hours, alcohol distribution, and very real safety concerns, simply does not belong in a residential neighborhood. Furthermore, it was unmistakably not lost on any of us that the proposed rezoning sign was posted on a closed road where essentially no one could easily view it. This itself points to the dubious nature of trying to insert an unwanted business into our literal backyards. We are certainly available to clarify or answer any questions you may have of us regarding this topic, but we strongly request that you deny this rezoning attempt. Thank you all very much for your time and attention in this matter. The next one is from Jonathan and Jess Cook, C-O-O-K-E. To whom it may concern, I write this letter with the strongest possible objection to the establishment of an event center and RV park in the Lake Alvin area. This type of business is destructive and consumptive in the nature and will bring no benefit to our community. It will destroy our environment and negatively our way of life, bringing pollution, noise, traffic, crime, congestion, and danger. Change in our community should be a positive thing. We should seek to effect those changes that make us better. An event center and RV park does not contribute to our community. It will not better us. It will take from us. Its establishment will take the serenity and safety of our community and replace it with noise. It will replace it with trash. It will replace it with diesel fumes, torn up ground, and human waste from RVs. It will replace it with traffic. That people come out to event centers specifically come to act in excess. They will act in excess without thought, feeling, or what is best for our community. And when we are done, they will leave behind the effects of their excess without a thought about our community. There is no rideshare nor public transportation in our area, but people will imbibe alcohol and drive intoxicated on our roads where our children play. They will deposit their food wrappers, bottles, cans along our roadways. Their noise will disturb our neighbors. And what do we do when the inevitable emergency occurs? We lack the resources for increased police presence, as well as emergency fire and medical to appropriately respond, making this an outright danger to our area. And for what? This business will not bring good jobs to our community. It does not bring a needed service. It will not better us or our land or contribute to our futures. Are we really being asked to stomach this disfigurement for a few shift jobs? That's it? Is it really our trade-off? The people who live in our community do so specifically to be away from the congested, noisy, dirty city life. This event center will bring it right to their doorstep. To some of our neighbors, actually to their doorstep. The owner does not wish to make Lincoln County better. The owner wants to profit off us. In the Gordon Gekko-esque greed is good fashion, the owner who, by the way, is not a member of our community, the owner who will not have to deal with the disruption of our way of life and endangerment to our families his center and RV park will cause. The owner who bought the land meant for houses and means to not build houses. I bet this gentleman did not purchase his house next to an event center and RV park, but wants to build one next to ours. I say to this gentleman, if you would like to build this, build it next to your house. I don't want it near mine. We do not want it here.
Do you have an address for that person?
47898 Prairie Circle, also in Harrisburg.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. I urge the community to say no and ask for their protection. Please protect the people from noise, crime, and traffic. Please protect our land and environment from destruction and pollution. Please protect our community from this type of predatory establishment. Say no, say no, say no. That's from Jess and John Cook. A lot of our neighbors couldn't be here today. It's a Tuesday afternoon at 8:30. They're doctors, they're lawyers, they travel. So anyway, I ask that you respect what the Planning and Zoning Commission has voted and say no to this. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Stephen Duran, 27201 Prairie Circle, Harrisburg. My question's really for Joel, is to, all the neighbors seem to have said, we don't want this. And really, like she just said, there's no commerce as a business person. We all are here, with our time, and there's finished carpenters too up here. And it doesn't make sense for the land. And if you said you didn't see the last meeting, but I was there with my wife, and it was packed and nobody wanted it. So I don't do much public speaking, so I apologize. But anyway, that was really my question as to why we would keep going with the plan when it was already shut down last time. So
Thank
anyway,
you.
I hope you vote no.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Doug Morton. Address is 27217 Cedar Ridge Court in Harrisburg. I'm not much of a public speaker. We moved here specifically to be near Lake Alvin, near the recreation area. It's a beautiful area. This development would change that completely. It would bring pollution, noise, traffic, all kinds of bad things. And I don't think it would profit us at all. I think I would urge you to vote against it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Sandy Braun, 27395 470th Avenue, Lenox. I'm here representing Leroy and Cheryl Hackrat, 47891 273rd Avenue. We are right across the road from this. We will impact the lights, the traffic, all of this will be impacted the most on our house. The lights will shine right into their house. We moved out there 20 years ago to be in the country, to get away from Louise Avenue and getting run into from, we had a farm over there, getting run into from the traffic and all of that. Now we're going to run into the same issues with all the extra traffic. There's no Uber, there's no Lyft out there for deferring the ride shares getting back into town from drunk drivers. And I guess they've all said the same thing, so I'm not gonna stand up here and repeat myself, but I do, I'm really concerned with the hill right there also, of being able, for the traffic, being able to see cars coming, having my parents come out of the driveways with all the extra traffic scares me to death. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Deb Hansen, 27204 Cedar Ridge Court. I'm here representing my husband and myself, along with multiple neighbors that I will list a bit later. My husband and I are totally opposed to the event center rezone on the south side of Lake Alvin. Our concerns are increased traffic along with noise, light, and potential lake pollution in an area that is enjoyed by a variety of wildlife. Lake Alvin is a beautiful gem in the Sioux Falls area, especially beautiful because it has been preserved largely undeveloped. It is a peaceful sanctuary that is enjoyed by lots of wildlife, coexisting with many fishermen, bird watchers, kayakers, walkers, and others who are there just enjoying nature. It is not unusual to see several bald eagles playing in our sanctuary. The health of Lake Alvin has already been noted in the press many times for pollution issues. We should be working to clean up this precious wildlife haven rather than inviting a polluting event center or any other use that doesn't fall under current zoning. Any proposed new development should include an environmental impact study. And I haven't heard anything to the effect that that has been done. The surrounding neighborhood that is no longer farmland has been developed into higher-end acreages, as the current zoning allows. An event center will change the entire character of the neighborhood, reducing property values for existing property owners just so that one developer can profit. In addition to my neighbors already in attendance here, here are a few others who have asked me to voice their opposition as affected property owners, taxpayers, and voters. These people all live in the Lakeview Estates subdivision, just to the northwest end of Lake Alvin. Mike Hibbard, Denise Hibbard, Eric Lang, Martha Lang, Jessica Friedenthal, Cody Friedenthal, John Wessel, Brittany Wessel, Bryce Colander, Kelly Colander, Scott McKercher, Loretta McKercher, Andrew Losey, and Colleen Losey. These are names that were compiled in less than 12 hours. We ask that you please vote no to the proposed event center at Lake Alvin. And if for some reason you should decide to move forward on this, we ask that a complete environmental study, habitat, wildlife, all of these things are taken into account because, frankly, the noise, the lights, I mean, we live in splendor out there. That will all change. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to come up?
Richard Cook, 47894 Prairie Circle, Harrisburg, South Dakota. Several weeks ago, at the Planning Commission meeting, this chamber was filled, complete every chair. The applicant spoke. A request for anyone in favor of the activity was asked to speak. No one did. 13 of us got up and spoke against any rezoning of this particular piece of ground. Many of us were unable to be here this morning because it's 8:30 in the morning instead of 6:30 at night. But nevertheless, you've heard the number of names that have been mentioned. With that, please vote against this measure.
Thank you. Anybody else want to come up?
Chris Nordquist, 27219 Cedar Ridge Court. With regards to traffic and safety, coming down County Road 110 there, I don't know how many of you gone east side of Harrisburg heading towards the Iowa County line, coming over that hill in the entrance into Meadow Ridge Court. I've driven that road basically every day for the last 15 years on my way to work. And I do know that that is a blind intersection and a danger. And if you don't know what you're doing coming over that, especially if it's a little bit icy, somebody pulls out, can't see you, it is an extreme danger. I've had at least one near miss probably in my first couple of years taking that road before I learned my lesson that, okay, that's a problem. If we up that traffic significantly, we are going to have a danger problem there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to come up? All right, if not, then I will give our applicant or any person that missed the proponent part of the testimony to come up and address the obvious opponent's testimony today. Do you want to come back up, sir? Okay, thank you. Then I'm going to close testimony on that and open commission discussion. Commission's free to ask any proponents or opponents, the applicant, for any additional testimony.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I drove out there and looked this over. And I kind of looked at this from the standpoint of that hill in question you mentioned. That's kind of a dangerous intersection. I could see that. The other part is this is predominantly a definition of rural residential. I see a lot of beautiful homes, a lot of well-kept parcels out there. And while I'm certainly not opposed to free enterprise or this concept or this idea, and it may have merit at some place, but I'm going to be voting to support the findings of our Planning and Zoning Board and vote to deny the appeal.
Thank you. Any other discussion amongst the commission?
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
thank you. There's competing visions for what Lincoln County should look like, especially the more rural part. The urban part has already been decided by the cities as they continue to grow. But insofar as it relates to the rural residential areas, there's multiple competing visions. One of those is that there should be some growth and development out there in the form of what Mr. McDowell has proposed. Essentially, and I think what I heard was, it feels or looks like a neighborhood pub. And then there's some RV traffic and things like that out there. But then there's another competing vision, which seems to be the predominant one of those who live out there, and that is acreages, rural residential housing, and things like that. High-end executive level homes, especially around Lake Alvin, and then as you start to spread out from there, more typical in value. Concerns I have here is that the competing visions are not compatible. I think the idea of a neighborhood pub or corporate events center in and of itself on Lake Alvin does sound appealing in the sense of I do think a lot of people from outside the area would like to enjoy that. Unfortunately, you don't have the buy-in from the neighbors who live there, and I wish you did. Because if you had that, then you'd have a sense of community. But this would not create a sense of community, it creates a sense of division. I don't think you've intentionally wanted to create that, Mr. McDowell, at all. I think you own a very nice piece of land there, and you think that this would fit nicely with the character of the community. So, I appreciate that. But I think the overwhelming sense of what the vision that many of us have for the Lake Alvin area is rural residential housing. And I think it's just a step too far at this point in time to think that we're going to be able to commercialize it in any kind of successful way. I think folks just want to continue to live out there, go to their homes, and then commute back and forth to work. And at this point in time, I don't see the demand signal being created for any kind of events or a pub or an RV park or anything like that. In fact, the folks who live up at Spring Creek said no to an RV park rather recently as well, and they pushed back rather effectively against that. So I think the idea of it, and I know that you're not intending to build a campground on the level of what Game Fish and Parks Foundation was proposing, but this is kind of what it sounds like. And that has people concerned. So I think at this point in time, it's just best to continue pursuing a vision of rural residential housing out there with nice acreages, But in terms of any commercial development, I don't see a way forward for that. So, and ultimately, I think the plan is incompatible with the Harrisburg Comprehensive Plan. Another concern that I have, especially as it relates to these growing communities, is that we as a county commission are asked to change the zoning, but we have no authority over the subdivision plan. So one group of elected officials gets to decide the zoning, but an entirely another group of elected officials gets to decide the subdivision plan. Now, for whatever reason or wisdom, that's what the state legislature decided. I think it's a bad model for planning and zoning. It needs to be fixed. Do I think our legislators will do that? No. But that means we're stuck with a crap situation in terms of being able to guide and develop these properties, because you don't have, the people who live out there don't get to vote for the Harrisburg City Council. It's almost like taxation without representation. And that's not your fault. You were just dealing with the situation that has been presented to us. But I've said that before, is that's what presents a problem with being able to effectively plan out there, is that kind of bifurcated model of planning and zoning. So for all those reasons, I'm opposed to the petition. I appreciate you making the effort, but I think at this time, it's just not ready. It's not ripe. The community's just not ready for this yet. And maybe in the future they will be, but I don't see that vision changing anytime soon. So thank you.
Any other commissioners have comments or discussion? Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I've sat on the Planning and Zoning Board and heard the full discussion from the neighbors in that area. And my decision today is not going to change from my decision for Planning and Zoning, but I do want to go on the record so the residents in that area understand something. Things do change. This one is going to probably get voted down based on what I'm hearing from the commission. And I applaud those that came, because a lot of times from Planning and Zoning to hear things change, there's different discussions and things like that. There's a lot of merit to enhancing something someday down by the Lake Alvin, because as our population grows, there is recreational area designated in that area. People are going to want to gravitate to it, possibly beyond just residences. So today's proposal may get voted down. I would not be amiss to think something down the road will come again. And we have to be open to understand and formulate what makes sense. And as we're doing our comprehensive plan, I think we need to use this one as a model for evaluating what would make sense in change of use in areas that are designated as public. And the lake is definitely public. And so if a private investor wants to come in and try to do something that enhances and becomes part of the neighborhood without impacting negatively to the area, I do encourage them to do that, because it's for everyone's use, the lake itself. I know that is quite contrary to a lot of my decisions in the past. It doesn't change today in what my thoughts are, but I do want to make sure everyone understands. A decision today does not mean the decision that will be in 5 years. So speak to your commissioners, speak to your representatives, keep an open mind that things do change in Lincoln County. We are definitely not the county that we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. But keep an open mind, because it can't just stay stagnant no matter what it is. So thank you.
All right, Commissioner Gibbon, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Could I make a comment after the vote, or do you want it now?
Now would be great.
I agree with many of the same things that Commissioner Poppins just said. However, I will be abstaining from this vote, since my son is employed by the engineering firm that will be doing the project.
All right, very good. I'm going to keep it short. I agree with everything that's been said here this morning. I'm going to be a no on this today. I'm a pro-business person. I like to see the business growth, but it needs to be in areas that are ready for it, and I just don't think this area is ready for it. So I'm going to leave it at that. And before we vote, I just want to tell everybody there is a community engagement survey on the Lincoln County website that relates to our new comprehensive plan that we're drafting. So I encourage everybody to go on there and have some input into that, since the ability is there to do that. So with that, I would ask for a motion in the affirmative, please.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion in the affirmative to approve, so a no would mean that the rezone is denied. Does everybody understand that? I know we've had issues with it in the past.
It's kind of a legalese.
Okay. All right. We go ahead and call the roll, please.
Commissioner Aaron's.
No.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Abstain.
Commissioner Poppins.
No.
Commissioner Schmidt,
No.
Commissioner Landine.
No. So the petition for approval fails 4-0, or 0-4, however you want to look at it. We're going to circle back to our legislative audit if we're ready to go with that. All right. Thanks for attending, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We're gonna go. That one. And then the board covers. So, and then the management letter. Okay, so, as I said earlier, David Weidler, Department of Legislative Audit. Here to conduct the closing conference for the 2022 audit of Lincoln County. Up on the screen right now is the letter of representation from the county to myself, or to my department. Essentially, this is a letter stating that you acknowledge that the county is responsible for the internal controls over reporting, the internal controls over the operations of the county, and the internal controls to prevent and detect fraud. Some of the more important ones is the first three. We acknowledge our responsibilities as set out in the engagement letter. Again, the design for the internal controls. Number 4 here, responsibility for compliance with laws, regulations, and provisions of grants and other contracts. And then number 5, we have a reviewed, approved, and taken responsibility for the financial statements and the related notes. Number 11, the effects of all known or possible litigation and claims have been accounted for and disclosed in the notes. Number 22 here, you had asked us for our assistance in the preparation of a few items. This is just acknowledging that you have made all the management decisions and have evaluated them and agree with what we have prepared for you. Number 24, all transactions have been provided to us. You're not running a second set of books, which I don't think you are. And then management has no knowledge of any fraud or suspected fraud. And I guess 37 is in regards to the uniform guidance audit that you guys were subject to for this year for spending over $750,000 in federal funds. There's 27 sub-items, but they're pretty much the same as the other ones. Is there any questions on this letter that I may be able to answer? I know you guys have.
Basically, these are just the county's representations to the department, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any commissioners have any questions about that letter? All right. What's next?
I will need a signed copy of this from Madam Landine here and from Sherry. So if you guys need to vote on that, that would be a good time.
I mean,
We don't have that on our, I mean,
I guess I'm not familiar enough with your guys' rule on,
just,
David, Madam Chair, can I ask a question?
yeah, go ahead.
So I've got the multi-page letter here, but I want to ask you a question about the two-page letter, the one that's signed by you. Just reading this for the first time, so
right.
bear with me here. When you turn to page 2, there's a section that says material violations of laws, rules, and regulations. And then underneath it says, the unassigned fund balance of the general fund exceeded the maximum allowed by SDCL 7-21-18.1 by approximately $4.372 million as of December 31st, 2022. What does that mean, other than the fact we're over the limit by 4.372 million? But what's the point?
This one?
Can you explain what that means?
What's he talking?
He's talking about the back page of the letter that has the bold underlined headings on it.
Okay, thank you.
The section that he's talking about is this part right here. The law that's being referenced is a law that was in place back before levies were capped by growth in CPI, where counties could just levy however much that they wanted. It's designed to prevent overtaxation. Essentially what happened, the county's election to use the $10 million of the American Rescue Plan funds for general fund salaries, that's what caused this. You replaced the local tax dollars that you had raised to pay for those salaries with the federal dollars.
So basically, because we took the $10 million from the federal government and spent $6 million of it, and we're left with 4.3, means that because of that, we're 4.3 over the limit, right? Is that the kind of the layman's?
Simple.
In the simple terms, yes. There's really, this is a comment that's going to be included in the audit report. It's caused by the ARPA election that you guys did. At the end of the year, you guys just need to examine how much cash is left at the end of the year that you guys don't have a plan for or isn't assigned already for another purpose, and just kind of give it a designation that, hey, this is kind of what we're looking to spend this money on. I've kind of talked with Sherry about this. I don't know if she wants to give any more input.
Do you have anything else you'd like to say, sir, about any of these letters?
Madam Chair, before you move on, because I identified the same Commissioner Aaron's. This 40%, where did that come from? Is that
I'm going to ask Sherry to explain it in just a
is that an
moment.
established thing, or did you just pull that out of the air, or what is that?
The 40% is stated in that state law.
State law?
Yep, it is 40% of next year's general fund budget.
Thank you.
Wonder where that came from.
Do you have anything else you'd like to say about the letters, sir?
If we want to go to the other two-page letter, sorry, I have too many pieces of paper floating around here.
That's okay.
So this one is a Board of Governance letter. This is a letter from our department to you, the Board of Commission, discussing items that we require to by auditing standards. We have to evaluate the accounting practices of the county, which we don't have any problems with. We have to discuss any difficulties encountered in performing the audit, which there were none. We didn't have any disagreements with management. Any corrected and all material misstatements were corrected, and any misstatements that were not corrected are immaterial. We have requested the management representations. That was the first multi-page letter. And then any management consultants with other accountants. Just a letter discussing things that we are required to with you, the board. Is there any questions on this letter?
Any questions, anybody?
Okay, so, I guess the only other one is the one with the comments in it. That's the management letter. This is where we discuss any findings that we found that were important enough to be brought to your guys' attention. As we talked about before, we have the unassigned fund balance violation. There's also a lesser violation of a South Dakota state law where the tax list of the unpaid tax list needs to be reconciled with the tax records. In the previous accounting system, version of the accounting system, there was a nice report that Sherry could run that would do that. In the new version that you guys updated to, that report for some reason doesn't exist. Sherry and I have been working together, and Sherry's been talking with Encode to try and rectify this situation, but that's just something to be aware of. I don't see, I don't think there's a problem there, but by state law, she is required to do that. Is there any questions on that one before we circle back to the unassigned fund balance?
Anybody have any questions? All right. Sherry, do you want to come up?
Good morning.
Good morning. Do you, on that back page of the letter with the bold, the third one down, it talks about material violations.
Yep, so basically with the ARPA funds, when we put the $10 million into the general fund, I should have restricted it. That would have prevented us from being over the 40%. We are, next week, or next couple weeks, there's going to be an item in front of the board to restrict funds, otherwise we're going to have the same problem going into the next year. So that's something for you guys to be thinking about. Otherwise, going forward, yeah, this calculation will be done before the end of the year and make sure that we don't have the or we're not over our restricted funds.
Okay. Any commissioners have any questions about that? All right, you need a motion for us to, for the auditor and for myself to sign this letter?
Yes.
And you're asking us to sign this letter, Sherry?
Yes.
Okay.
And then all these documents will be on next week's agenda and on the website so that everybody has an opportunity.
Okay, all right. Can I get a motion to that effect, please?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any public comment on this agenda item?
Madam Chair, is there any issue with delaying this by one meeting? The only reason I asked, Madam Chair, is we didn't even have this in our public. I would like us to delay so that it at least was out in the public, one meeting.
Yeah, I'll put it on the agenda for next time and you can vote on it.
I defer if it doesn't cause any issue with signing this today or not signing it today.
I don't see an issue I don't see anything that would cause it to be an issue. We would just have to update the dates for the audit report.
I would like us to do, but you have a motion in a second.
I'll withdraw the motion.
Okay, I've got a withdrawal of the motion. Who made the second?
Withdraw the second.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
And then can I get a motion to table this to next week?
Motion to table.
Second.
Thank you. I got a motion and a second. And then we'll address it next week and I'll take public comment on it next week. All right. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Don't go away, David.
Commissioner Aaron's.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon.
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes.
David,
Motion
for the
carries.
record, this looks like a pretty clean audit.
Yes, I didn't see any,
I mean, we're sitting here with a lot of paper,
right,
but if you boil this thing down, I've read hundreds of audits. This looks like a pretty clean audit.
yes, I didn't have any problems with the audit. Only the major thing was that 40%,
Yeah.
and that's,
Somewhat beyond our control.
yes.
Easily correct.
It's easily corrected
Yeah.
at this point. There's nothing involving how the county operates that would lead to fraud being, or misrepresentation, fraud, any of that sort. It's just a calculation, so,
So we'll put a bow on it and call it a good one.
yep,
Okay.
All right, thank you, David.
thank you.
All right, Terry. Is Terry here? Oh, we have Jared today.
Hey.
Morning,
Jay
Jared.
sends his regards.
I know, I saw him maybe somewhere warm, much warmer than here.
Absolutely. I'm here with Josh Prather, IMEG consultant. Year in review for bridges, things that we've done, bridge replacements. I think you guys all had it in your packet for the league of the bridge limits, things that we got. The ones that are highlighted in green, red are the ones that have changed this year. We've added an additional 2 structures to our system. One was west of Quaker on County Road 103. Used to be a double set of pipe, now turned into a box, which 20-foot rule made it a structure. Also down on County Road 152, we had the same thing there. We had a box culvert, ended up putting pipe in and created an additional structure. We only had one structure this year that ended up getting a weight rating on it, and that's what we call the Orange Bridge, the 4202201. We've been working on preservation grants for this, and actually we're going to apply January 1st for a preservation on it, for the load bearings on it, to get that fixed. We hope to have had it done, but we had a grant, went to bid. The cost estimates ended up coming back significantly higher than we had anticipated, and we had to relinquish that grant and reapply, so we'll be doing that the 1st of January. This year, we only did the on-highway systems, anything that on our highway roads, anything that are on township roads, we're doing that next year. Just trying to split it up so we don't have such a load in 1 year. I don't want to bore you with bridge talk. Anybody got any questions on the bridges?
I don't have any specific questions. Anybody else?
We could talk all day.
Yeah, Jared, are we pretty much on track of the bridge plan that was presented here a
Yeah.
few months ago, which was, for next year and years after? Are we pretty much following this?
A few changes, but yes, we are on track for those, especially for next year with the federal replacements we're doing. Yep, few changes happen a few years out, just because things get worked through the system a whole lot faster than what we anticipated, so.
All right, guess there's no other questions. Thanks, Jared.
Yeah,
No
you want me
action
just to
today.
stay here? I'll stay here.
You can stay there if you want. You might as well, yeah. Keep going.
All right, Lake Elvin. That project has completed. We ended up extending the area of the paved job and the cutout, which added increased cost to the base course material, also to the paved material, and also there were spots they had in there were some really mucky dirt that we had to haul in some more fill, better fill, to complete the project. So there's a change order for that, asking for the approval.
Okay, and the amount was 58,000.
$49.
All right, anybody have questions for Jared?
And again, that was at our discretion to have them do it. It made sense while they're there.
Sure. All right, if not, can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any public input on this agenda item? All right, if not, we call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes, that motion carries. We'll move on to item 5 on our agenda.
Looking for approval to purchase a utility box, sign truck box for one of the pickups that we had purchased this year. We're just looking to go out to bid so we can get that mounted on that piece of equipment. A little backstory on it, we're taking basically 2 trucks and we're turning it into one. Instead of having to buy 2 trucks and do 2 separate functions, we're doing 1 truck, 1 function. So the utility box that's gonna be on here is gonna be a little bit more expensive, but having to spend another $70,000 on a vehicle, we feel this is a cheaper, better option.
And there's no state bid out there that you can run off of?
Nope. I spent a lot of time writing spec.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any public input on this agenda item? All right, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes. Now we're going to circle back to what was on the consent agenda. It was item 4 on the consent agenda. It was approval and authorization for the chair to execute an amendment to housing prisoners in Minnehaha County. Good morning, Sheriff.
Morning. Steve Swenson, Lincoln County Sheriff. This amendment is to, Minnehaha County has requested or is increasing their daily prisoner charge per day from $106 to $112 for fiscal year 2024.
How do you expect that to affect our overall budget for next year?
Well, during the budget hearing, I got this email and I did inform the commission of it, and we increased the budget by, and I don't remember right offhand, but we're budgeted for it.
Okay. You don't have the numbers on how much we'll be paying.
The budget for next year is 2.458 million, I believe, or pretty close to that.
Is that just for housing?
Correct.
All right, thank
That would
you.
be, excuse me, Madam.
No, go ahead.
That would be based on an average of 45, or a max of 45 prisoners.
No, I believe I budgeted for 55.
55 next year.
I can figure it out quick.
But the contract only guarantees 45.
45 beds. And we're currently running about 45 and consistently have been for, it gets up around 55 here and there, but
Is this, is the 112, is that just for next year, or is it,
starting January 1st next year.
okay, and then it can change again the following year, or
Yeah, we have no control stops.
there's no lock-in?
Nope.
Okay.
The current contract with is for another 3 years?
We'll be up at the end of next year. They just sent us out the new contract to review. I forwarded that on to Chief Deputy DeGroot to review, to sign for an additional 5 years.
They have sent that to you?
Yes.
Would you mind sending that as soon as you can to us, please?
Yep.
All right, anybody have any other questions for our sheriff? All right, can I get a motion, please?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Is there, I've got a motion and a second. Any public input on this agenda item? All right, any further discussion among the commissioners?
It's just fact of our approximately 20% of our budget goes to housing 45 to 55 individuals each year. Part of our duties, and in lieu of no other option, we don't have much choice.
Fair enough. All right, with that, if there's no other discussion, will you call the roll, Kristen?
Commissioner Aaron's,
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Reluctantly, yes.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes, motion carries. And then what was item 6 on our consent agenda we'll take up next. And that was to authorize the commission chair to execute an agreement with Catalyst Payments LLC. Jake, do you want to come up?
I'm seeking authorization to sign an agreement with Catalyst Systems. This is the system we use to have our online property tax system. It's also our credit card vendor that's within the treasurer's office to pay for motor vehicle and property taxes. The company was originally GovTech Systems, but they got purchased by Catalyst Systems. And just signing this agreement so that we can upgrade to their new system and have more payment options and have better flexibility for our citizens.
When you,
So-
when you say better payment options, what do you mean?
So with this new system, we'll have wireless Apple Pay, Google Pay, all of those. We'll have Venmo. People can use Venmo to transfer money to us to pay. We'll have PayPal, and then there's another feature that came in that's PayPal Credit. Our citizens will be able to pay their property taxes with the county getting the money completely upfront, and they would have a 6-month no interest on that loan with PayPal. And so that'll be a huge advantage to many of the citizens out there.
And people don't have to use this payment method, correct?
Correct. We can still use the checks by mail. You can still have all those payment methods, just adding more in. And some of these were actually requested. A lot of people are using the wireless payment options and the Venmos and things. So it will be a great advantage to a lot of our citizens.
All right, thank you for that. Commissioners have any questions for Jake?
There is one minor difference with this new system. We had a 2.4% transaction fee that is a convenience fee for the citizen, so they pay that fee. On this new one, it's 2.4% unless it's under $1. It's 2.4% if it's over $1.50. There's a minimum $1.50 charge on there.
All right. All right, no questions from commissioners. Can I get a motion, please?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any public input on this agenda item?
Sorry.
Hello. Linda Montgomery, Fairview, South Dakota. Thank you, Madam Chair, for taking this off the consent agenda. I saw this and, it sounds like it's a very simple change, but this company that is currently now, that you will be dealing with, has many, many ties and is far-reaching. It used to be Government Brands. It's now called, as you say, Castellas. Since 2000, and this has just been a matter of a few days' research, and I would like this tabled so that we can have a public comment, public hearing on this company. If we haven't looked at other companies, this company in 5 years has acquired a combination of 30 government tech companies from across U.S. and Canada. This is not a simple company. It's also there with leading investigators of the PSG and the TPG, which have elevated the Government Brands to a unicorn status. Now, I can't stand here and pretend that I know what a unicorn status, but in simple research, and I saw this on Friday, didn't get to it till over the weekend, and I did more yesterday. This company, I think we need to look at before you give us as constituents this company's control over all our data and access to payments and funding. Once you give this out, you can't take it back. And I really would like us to look further into this company and into the services required, or services that they are rendering. It sounds simple. The explanation is simple, but I think with anything else, when you're dealing with a private for-profit company, we need to look at it further. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on this agenda item?
Kelly Brack, Stratton Circle, Sioux Falls. Just a couple of comments. First of all, Do we have a dollar figure? Well, this is kind of a question, and maybe we can just make a statement here. Do we know how much this is going to cost us, the taxpayers of Lincoln County? And I realize that a lot of younger people are getting away from writing a check and mailing it in, and that it's such a pain in the neck to put a stamp on an envelope. But that basically cost the county $0.0. So I would just wanted to point that out. Secondly, the PayPal platform essentially offering residents the ability to put it on credit is a horrible idea for them to pay their taxes on credit. I believe that at some point, weren't we not accepting tax payments via credit card? So the PayPal function, having them put it on credit, is a horrible idea and will ultimately cause people getting further in debt. So anyway, I agree with Linda about tabling this until we could do some more further investigation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment on this agenda item? All right, if not, any discussion amongst the commissioners?
Well, maybe Madam Chair, what, I'll just ask this question of Jay. What's this system cost the county?
Zero.
Okay, so there's no cost incurred by us? No. Okay. Is it paid for through user fees?
There's no cost to the county, and it is paid for by user fees. And in a way, we're kind of already on the same system because they bought the company. We're just officially signing it since they got moved over to a new company.
How long have we been using?
Since about 21.
Okay,
So,
3 years now?
yes, yep.
Okay. All right, any other questions? All right, if not, can I get a motion, please?
Commissioner Aaron's.
No, you need a motion.
I need a motion.
You
Do we
already have the motion,
do we-
Madam Chair.
Oh,
and
I'm
the second.
sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
We made the motion, then the public came up.
Thank you. We can call the roll, please.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon.
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Yes.
Commissioner Landine.
Yes, that motion carries. We'll move on to our opportunity for public comment for items that are not on the agenda today. If you'd like to come up, now would be the time to do so.
Good morning. I'm Rick
morning.
Moran. Do I give my address and all that stuff?
You sure can.
Okay. 29003 472nd Avenue, Beresford. And I am the Lincoln Township Supervisor. We have when the guy was talking about the bridges, we have a bridge on, I called Old 77, just south of the rural water building. That's within our township, and there's load limits on there. And so what happens is semis go around that bridge on our township roads. And it is, we have no through trucks signs on there, but yet we still have a problem of semis going down our township roads, which if it's dry, it's not so bad, but when it's wet, it tears it up. And I guess it's passing, that bridge had weight limits on it about 6 years ago, and then it was taken off for a couple years, and now I think 2 years ago it was put back on. So I don't know if it miraculously healed itself and then it got hurt again. I don't know, but it is the 2 miles where guys come down and they can't go on that bridge and go in our townships. We've had to gravel those 2 miles every year for the past 3 years, the whole 2 miles. So it's passing the buck onto the townships, and I just wanted to make you known. I want to let you know about that. So there is some repercussions, or I don't want to say some when they put weight limits on bridges, it gets put on the townships. So
Are you Lynn Township?
Oh, I'm Lincoln Township.
Lincoln.
Lincoln Township.
Rick, what do you estimate your increased cost to be as a result of that?
Oh, boy. It's probably about $2,000 a year. I'm just guessing, because we'd have to This year, we didn't have to re-gravel it as much, but in 19, when it was so wet, we almost had to close the road down.
That's probably, what, 30% of your overall budget?
Yeah, it's, our overall budget's right around about 50,000.
Oh, okay.
Rick, what was the weight limit that was on, off, and now on again?
I think it's at 70, for a combination, it's at 72,000 pounds. And for single axe, I think it is at 52,000.
Have you passed any resolutions as a township for load limits or anything like that?
No, we haven't, because we have never had a problem until this. And like I said, when it's dry like this summer, it wasn't near the problem, but we usually in the springtime, when everybody puts load limits on, that's when we have an issue.
Are we primarily dealing with farmers and grain trucks and so that type of thing, or other commercial vehicles, semis as well?
I didn't hear the question.
Is it primarily farmers that are using the township road going, or is it
It's
commercial?
everyone. I mean, from delivery trucks to, yep. And, we put the no-through truck signs on there, but, we really don't want to handcuff the farmers too. I mean, you gotta be careful what you ask for, you might actually get it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So, I just wanted to make that known, just so you're aware.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else want to come up for public comment for items not on the agenda?
Lynn Montgomery, Fairview, South Dakota. This is just kind of I noticed that this time when the agenda was sent out, when I looked again, like yesterday, a couple of the paper clips were no longer there. So I just want you to kind of keep an eye on that. I did not take a screenshot, so I can't give that to you, but from what I saw on Friday to what I saw last night, it did change under the paper clips. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to come up? Hi, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Kaya Broders, Canton, South Dakota. Reaching out to the commission after echoing a lot of the concerns that came from the Lake Alvin committee and community. Excuse me. Really trying to enforce where we stand as Lincoln County as well as commission in regards to if there's any updates that the commission has in regards to the proposed state penitentiary site. I trust that many of you maybe are aware that the drilling as well as the soil sampling has already started to take place. Really, as a resident of that area, I wish it was as easy and as simple as our commissioners being able to vote that down and have their voice heard, understand the constraints that we are up against, but just would respectfully ask if there's any updates or any thoughts on that process.
I guess since from the holiday, I don't have any updates today with the holiday weekend and what have you, and we didn't have a meeting last week. If we do have an update to bring to you, I think we'll certainly do that. I know the pending litigation now kind of maybe throws quite a bit of a wrench into us making comments as a commission right now, but I'm going to defer to legal counsel. If they have updates that we can bring to you, we'll certainly do that. So
Appreciate that.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else want to come up? Okay, if not, ready for commissioner reports? Any commissioner reports?
Yes, Madam Chair. I had an opportunity to call the Bonhomme County Auditor's Office, and I asked them how much money they've spent on indigent legal defense. For those of you who don't know, Bonhomme County is the home of one of South Dakota's Department of Corrections facilities. I asked them for all the bills that they spend as a county as a result of having to take care of prisoners. And it wasn't just indigent legal defense. the state routinely asks them to pay for other things, which they refuse to do and they decline, but they are required to pay for indigent legal defense. And what their auditor told me is that over the last 10 years, they've spent $43,000 in county funds on indigent legal defense. So if you prorate that over 10 years, it's about $4,300 a year. Additionally, I've made the same request of the Minnehaha County Auditor's Office. I've asked them how much Minnehaha County spends as a result of having the main prison in Minnehaha County. They invited me to a meeting on December 6th, so I'm going to have an opportunity to sit down with their auditor and their county commission and some of those folks, because apparently it's not just as easy as pulling a report out of the system that they have, because not every payment they make is a transfer payment. Some of it is most of it is internal payments, i.e. paying their public defenders to defend these people. So it's going to be a process, but I did tell the people from Kaya's group I would find that information out, and I just want to report back to you. Got a meeting on December 6th, so that'll be the start of that process of finding out how much Minnehaha County pays for indigent legal defense, as well as any other expenses they pay as a result of having the prison in their county.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Commissioner. All right, anybody else? All right, if not, is there a need for executive session?
Yes.
Okay. Under all three?
Yes.
Okay. Can I get a motion to go into executive session under SDCL 125-2, sub 1, sub 3, and sub 4?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Will you call the roll, Kristen?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes. Motion carries. Does anybody? Executive session from Commissioner Poppins.
Oh.
I've got a second, I believe, by Commissioner Schmidt. Is that correct? All right, thank you. Will you call the roll, please?
Yes.
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes. Can I also get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Is
Second.
there a second? I've got a motion and a second. Will you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Aaron's?
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbon?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.